Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Glorious Life on Wheels. I am here at the American Red Cross, and I'm going to be interviewing some folks that are preparedness experts. That's right, they're going to be sharing some tips and pointers with you about what you need in a go bag, or actually even a stay-in-place, shelter-in-place bag, whether you live in an RV or in a sticks and bricks house. This is going to be some vital information, so stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. Oh my goodness, look at all of this preparedness. Well, hello, Andrea. How's it going today?
It's going really well, and I'm excited to talk to you about preparing for disasters today.
I am so excited that you were willing to do this. You're a volunteer with the Red Cross, right?
Yes, I am, and I am a spokesperson for disaster preparedness, and the subject that we're talking about today is getting ready for and preparing for the types of emergencies and disasters that we see in our local communities. So I'm really excited to be here today.
Well, you know, with what recently has been happening in the news, this is very timely. These are things that someone would have if they're, for the most part, going to shelter in place.
Yes, we do recommend that everyone have at least one disaster kit. And the disaster kit that you would keep in your house is basically intended for you to stock that and have that on hand at all times so that you're ready and prepared in the event of a stay-at-home disaster or other emergency in your community. So we talk about our strategy, which is we recommend that you get a kit, you make a plan, and you be informed.
Well, great. Well, you know what? Having said that, why don't we just jump right in and you can share some of the things that you recommend as a preparedness expert. See, you do have a Red Cross kit there.
Yes, we do have pre-made emergency disaster kits available on the Red Cross store, which you can access by going to our website, redcross.org. However, we do recommend to people that they customize it based on some of the items we're going to talk about today. It's just as good to create your very own disaster kit, and we're going to review some of the supplies and items that you should include or plan to include in your disaster kit.
Oh, what do we have here, Andrea?
What we recommend is a minimum of 1 gallon per person of water per day for a minimum of 3 days supply. So it can be bottled water. You can also have a life straw type of item that you can use to clean water so it becomes easier to drink.
So that would be if for some reason the water supply shut down and you had to get it from a pond or something.
Exactly. Okay. And then there's also prepared emergency drinking water, should you be interested in that. But plain old bottled water will do, and that's easy to come by. Okay. We also want to talk about the food items. So you want to plan to include, again, a minimum of 3-day supply with non-perishable food items. That's including things like canned items, meals that are ready to eat that don't require too much preparation. You can just open the bag and go. Some items, and pay attention to your packaging, do require heat. So if you do have a little propane stove, you can also include that along with the propane fuel.
Would the first meals that you would use be the ready to prepare so you wouldn't have to use water?
Exactly. So what you want to look for are items in your own pantry, your own cupboard, something that says it's already fully cooked and ready to serve.
Okay.
So you can always safely eat an item like that. There are also available emergency meals that are ready to eat in packaging kind of like this, that has something you can just open and go. It doesn't require water, doesn't require any additional preparation.
All right. And if you do want to prepare it and heat it up, then like you were saying, if you have maybe a little butane stove or even a grill in your backyard, you know, that doesn't require anything other than maybe propane or wood or charcoal to cook something with.
Correct. again, what you want to focus on is maintaining, a safety in the conditions that you're in. So, if it is safe to be outdoors, you can use items like that. Otherwise, we do want you to open up the cans and,
Okay.
eat the food as is.
So one thing you would need then is to make sure if the cans are something that you need a can opener, you want to make sure you have a can opener readily available too.
Yes, or focus on that kind that has the pull tops,
Okay.
which don't require a can opener.
Okay, perfect.
So that might be a great segue into talking about some of the other items that you might want to include in your kit. We have an example here of an all-in-one tool that's got a lot of different functional pieces on it. So if you have something that has a knife or a can opener on it, also things that you can use to break glass.
I saw it
Power chargers. Yeah,
I saw it had a little hammer and a
It does.
little
It
miniature
has a
little
little-
axe on it too. Even
Yes, it does.
even a
And that-
saw.
Exactly.
Okay.
So depending on the type of emergency, you may want to have an item like that in your kit. You also want to think about your communication devices. So having a solar powered charger is a fantastic idea. You also want to have a flashlight. Make sure that you're testing it for the batteries that make sure it works, and also having spare batteries on hand. There are a lot of different types of portable lights that you can use that do have either solar power or batteries that you can include. You can also have something that's like a hand cranked radio that doesn't even require a power source, just some human muscle power to charge an item like that.
I see this here. So this is one of those that you could just crank up and that will power it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, I was wondering on this, so this is a solar, and it looks like it also has a place where you can charge that if you have a portable generator. So would you recommend, if people can, to have maybe a solar generator or something like that if they can afford that?
Always a great idea. And again, depending on how remote you are, how distant you are from what's surrounding you, a generator is a good idea. We do just have to be careful of the wildfire risk with using generators in some of the areas that have high flammability, lots of brush or forest.
Right. So as opposed to a gas generator, if you had a generator that was solar powered, that you could use solar panels, and they even have them now that are not a whole lot bigger than this crank radio, that are pretty small, that would be, you could carry it with you if you had to. Okay.
Okay.
All right, moving right along here.
Let's talk about just finishing up some of those practical supplies, having a heavy pair of gloves in your emergency kit, and of course the infamous duct tape that can serve many, many different purposes to help you along. Those are always good ideas.
Okay.
Really important is to think about anyone in your home that requires medication. You absolutely want to prepare a 3-day minimum supply of any medications, prescriptions. It's always helpful to include a copy of the prescription medication names, but having a little pill case like this in your Go kit is a great idea.
Okay.
Speaking of, injuries happen. We also want to have a first aid kit. This is a small one that's really easily portable and really easy to have in a backpack. In your disaster kit in your vehicle, if you have some more room, or if you have an RV, something like that, you'll definitely want to plan for a more extensive first aid kit.
Well, let me ask you something.
Yes.
So would you suggest that people, because if you look at this, if you condense it all down, you could get this all into a good sized backpack. Would you suggest that people have one of these in their car also?
Yes, because we travel around in our cars, we're in our vehicles a lot, we're not always at home. So in the event that, let's say a wildfire happens, you can't get home, it's always great to have a portable disaster kit or emergency kit in your vehicle to also have on hand in the event that you can't go home.
Someone else was suggesting to me here, who I spoke to at the Red Cross, that putting together one of these kits would be a great gift idea.
Absolutely. A lot of people don't think about that, but, practical folks, it's a really practical gift. It can also be a really fun family project if you've got kids or grandkids in the home, to get everybody together on a mutual day off, and everybody, makes their list, they figure out what they want, and everybody packs it together.
Yeah, that would be a good activity.
Definitely.
So now let's see what else we have here.
So we also want to talk about a couple of other items here. A nice idea is having either an air horn or some kind of a whistle, so that if it is in the dark, for example, that it makes it easier for emergency responders to find you.
Okay.
In the event of fires or other areas where the air quality is affected, always have a few N95 masks on hand.
Okay.
That can really help, especially for anyone who has chronic respiratory difficulties. Hand sanitizer, go kits of some disinfectant wipes. You can always use Pampers wipes too, or something like that. Having some trash bags or other plastic bags, a rain poncho, and if you have a nice soft blanket that will fit in your kit, or you can always go for something that's a little smaller, for a smaller kit that has something that's made out of Mylar that can serve as an emergency blanket.
Okay.
Again, we're just talking about protecting yourself from the element, keeping warm, keeping dry, all of those things.
Seeing that you have a pack there, and it looks like it's something that the Red Cross can provide to people. What is that?
Yes, this is a preparedness bag which has a list of the essential documents that you're going to want to have in a secure, ideally ziplocked or laminated copies of all of your documents. Licenses, birth certificates, passports, any kind of identification, other documents like your insurance documents, things like that. Not always practical to have everything in a safety deposit box, but having copies. We have a little Ziploc bag. You can use a Ziploc bag from your pantry if you like. And then inside that, you would maintain the materials that you need. Items like this, descriptions, there's some helpful checklists that are available on the American Red Cross website, which is redcross.org, and you can find electronic copies of lists for what to include in your emergency kit, what kind of items would be considered emergency documents. You also want to have your emergency contacts listed, so this has a list of, any emergency veterinary services if you have pets, your doctor contact information, anything else that would be individualized to you and your living situation as far as the types of documents that you would need for yourself and any members of your household. My colleague is going to talk a little bit more about some of the services that are available once the emergency happens, but there is no substitute for having the information prepared at your fingertips, so that when we do have support services available, that you've already got on hand. Because our cell phones may or may not be working, so having one physical copy of all those important numbers and everything can be really valuable in a larger scale type of situation.
You were also telling me when we were talking earlier about part of your exit plan if you had to leave. Can you go a little bit into your exit plan?
Yes. So you want to prepare and practice an evacuation plan with anyone living in your household. What you want to do is have at least 2 different ways that you can escape and evacuate the dwelling itself. Have a local meeting place, for example, something close to home, like the tree across the street diagonally. It's away from your actual home and your living space, but somewhere that all of the family members can meet at a designated location. Ensure that everyone in the house is aware of that. It's also a great idea in some of our southwestern parts of the country here to have a remote location in the event that an entire area is inaccessible. This is something that should be planned out in advance so that every member of your household knows where to go, where to meet, and we can definitely all benefit from having that knowledge in advance, because again, cell phone communications might not be available and things like that.
Now, Andrea, a lot of my viewers live mobile, or they're nomads. They live in vans or RVs. So how would they do an evacuation plan, or how would they set a meetup or communicate with family or friends to let them know where they're at?
Yes. So my mother and my stepfather are nomads too. They
Oh,
travel
really?
around in the RV all over the place.
Oh my goodness.
And they always communicate their travel plans with the family members in advance. You know, we're expecting to be driving up through Northern California, or we're going to be driving through Alaska this month. So we have a general idea of where the individual is going to be to stay connected. Also making sure that they stay in touch with and listen to local radio and news forecasts and information. Always a great idea to be in contact with and know what the emergency numbers are in the area. It's not always 911 in some of the remote areas of the country. We also want to talk about the fact that if there is an emergency, that you contact either the American Red Cross or your local responders, your local emergency system, so that we can assist and help you partner with reunification with other family members, or if folks are looking for you, or if you're looking for someone else.
There are, and we'll go over this in another video, but what I didn't know until I was speaking to you and some other folks here is that the Red Cross does offer assistance to people in RVs. If, say, for instance, their RV burned down, you offer assistance to them. I didn't know that.
We do offer all different types of assistance on a case-by-case basis. It's determined, what is salvageable, what's not salvageable, and we certainly partner with local organizations, the local government, community partners to help assist someone. We want everyone to have a place to stay, to put their head down at night, no matter what, and to ensure that they have access to food, water, medications, and that includes also having space for people to be able to evacuate with their pets and other non-human loved ones.
So it's also, speaking of pets, it's also critical, like we were talking earlier, to make sure you have enough water and food for your pets also, and their medication.
And their medication too.
Right.
Yes. So when we say for every member of the household, again, we're including, the people and the pets, all loved ones.
Well, Andrea, thank you so much. I'm looking here, and these are such basic things that I think many people, maybe not the crank radio, but everyone probably should have one, but so many of these things are things that people would have in their home, and it's just a matter of collecting them together and getting them all in one spot so that you can have them readily and quickly available should an emergency arise.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so very much, and we look forward to the next video, learning even more about the services of the Red Cross. And how long has the Red Cross been in existence?
We have been in existence since 1881.
Wow, that's just amazing. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you.